Oh, there it is. There we are. We are live. It always kind of throws me off because I'm looking, and boom, it's right there. There. Oh, hey, Kevin, it's Thursday night. What's happening?
It throws me off because it's the Two Bros Wrestling Show, but I'm pretty sure it's not Sunday.
It's not Sunday. I was not medically cleared to speak about wrestling on Sunday night. I have to say my condition is slightly improved that I can move to the announcer's table tonight, but don't expect me to get into the ring. I'm still not medically cleared to do that. But, I do have some nice new stuff in the studio that's actually old stuff. And then where it came from is a nice new gym that we've built in, Castle Doug here.
So what he's saying, folks, is let's be nice to him tonight because he's not going to be able to handle anything too vigorous in the ring. So don't give him too hard of a time
That's
when he
right,
gets
or I'll
everything
ask you to help me
wrong.
move next time. I'm just going to put out a call to the audience to have them help me move things around the house. Maybe I should have done that. And then they could have got their show on Sunday night.
Doug, I'm glad you're feeling better. And thanks everyone for tuning in on a Thursday. And for those who tuned in last minute on Sunday to see we're not there, our apologies.
Whoops. So, card subject to change.
Card subject to change, though it's given us a little bit of extra time to gather some thoughts about this road to WrestleMania, which is the topic tonight. We are in full-on WrestleMania mode here on the Two Bros Wrestling Show up until and including the weekend of the big event. Tonight's main event topic, everyone, is the road to WrestleMania. WWE loves using that term. So let's talk about that road because everyone's road isn't the same. We're looking at individual wrestlers tonight. And who might be on that smooth superhighway to WrestleMania and who's had a bit of a bumpy ride, right?
I like that smooth superhighway right to WrestleMania. And what happened to
There's
that like roadblock pay-per-view? That was like my favorite worst name pay-per-view, Roadblock or Road to Ruin or whatever it was. The one in between, like before you get to WrestleMania. What happened to that? Is it
I
is it
think
just me
they've,
and Vince McMahon that like that title?
yes, probably because that is a pretty horrible name for a wrestling pay-per-view.
I love that. It was just so bad. It was like Plan 9 bad. It was so bad it was good. Maybe I'm alone
Well,
on that.
no, you're right. You and Vince. So you got one. And speaking
I,
of,
I got the only one I need.
that's right. Let's go to it before we get talking about our main event and the road to
Yes.
WrestleMania. We got. Can we do it? Can we do it?
Ding. Do I need to
Yeah.
ding ding?
I'm going to say this spinning wheel means that my bell is not going to work.
Oh man,
So,
your bail's not been medically cleared to talk about wrestling tonight.
Doug, it's Thursday night. You've screwed up my bell somehow.
It's okay.
Everything's off. We're
Uh,
about to
uh,
set
it,
things right, though. We're going to talk news. There's a lot of news to get through. It's been a busy week, obviously, when you're on the road to WrestleMania. But before we get to our main event topic, and before we get to the reason why we pivoted from our original main event topic for tonight, Doug, we have to talk about the story that is the bombshell that has taken over the wrestling world this week and the last week. And I just want to know, are you ready to talk about facial hair?
I am prepared. It looks like you're a little prepared to talk as well.
I'm getting there. I'm apparently not to where Vince McMahon is. The bombshell news: Vince McMahon has a mustache. That's right. There are no photos that are out there that would show that are not faked, but apparently the man who has infamously hated facial hair throughout all of his career, forcing some guys to shave their beards, their mustaches, has a mustache himself. In fact, the talent who saw him at first thought, because he was so famously did not care for facial hair, that he was ribbing everyone with this mustache or that it must be fake. It has been
Right.
described as looking very Gomez Adams. It's been described as very dark and pencil thin. And apparently, Vince is also now sporting jet black dyed hair. So put that together, and I'm totally seeing this as being a Gomez Adams look, Doug. We have to see pictures of this.
I'm totally putting this in Mid-Journey right now and having an AI generate this. So here's my thing, man. So are we sure this is Vince and maybe not just like a new guy in creative that got hired? Maybe that's what it is. He just looks suspiciously like Vince with like a little mustache.
So, the real story here, despite how distracted everyone is on this apparent new weird look of Vince McMahon, is that Vince McMahon was back at Raw last Monday night. It's his first time backstage at Raw since he resigned from the company in disgrace back last summer. Many obviously have been expecting this to happen ever since he returned as chairman back in January. No word, of course, what the implications of this return may be on WWE creative or as well as locker room morale. Doug, who knows? That mustache maybe was supposed to be some sort of disguise so people would not
That's what
know
I'm
he was back.
saying. That's what I'm saying. Vince sneaks into creative. I mean, Enrique sneaks into creative.
Enrique McMahon.
I don't mean sneaks. I mean he shows up for his first day of work, sitting in a gorilla position.
Vince with a mustache. Vince backstage at live events. Scary thoughts. Now let's get to the news story that is the reason why we pivoted on our original topic. So originally we were going to have this week's show be about the WWE Hall of Fame and our annual analysis of the class. But as you may have noticed, it wasn't until last Friday night that they had the first inductee announced. And we're only sitting at 2 right now. There is no word as to why WWE was very late this year in doing it. Normally by this time, just a few weeks out from the event, you have the entire class. Doug, the only way I can, I guess, rationalize the reason is that ever since the Hall of Fame stopped being a standalone event, they don't have to sell tickets for that anymore. They would take the arena usually where SmackDown or an NXT or something would be and would separately ticket an event where they would commonly sell it out. But now these events for the last few years have taken place immediately after SmackDown has ended in front of that same paying audience. So I just don't think they have the same internal pressures anymore to have a certain number of superstars or to announce too much in advance.
Yeah, and they have a bit of a captive audience at that point anyway. So
yeah.
I don't know. It is a shame though, because I'm like one of those 6 people in the world that actually enjoys the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Ric Flair was on TV this week saying it's always been his favorite part of WrestleMania weekend, and I don't know that he's alone. For all of us who've watched for a long time, seeing the old guys get dressed up, come out, tell overly long stories. Sure, it could be in the past, a chore of a night to get through, but it always was a lot of fun to me.
It really was. Absolutely.
It was. So I'd love to see more emphasis on the Hall of Fame. We'll see what number they end up at for inductees. Right now we have Rey Mysterio and, as announced this week, the Great Muta, both good selections. But we will, as the Two Bros, we will do ourselves and for you all a analysis of the class of 2023, regardless of what the size will be. We'll do a special show the week of WrestleMania. We got a lot of plans that we'll talk about later for WrestleMania week. And that includes a special broadcast. We can do Thursday nights. You can see we can come to you on a special night. It's all right.
Special nights are all right as long as it's not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, sometimes depending on premium live events, Saturday or Sunday.
Sorry, Impact fans who are like, "Hey, wait a minute, isn't Impact on right now?" Oh, yeah, it is. Oops. But you're still wanting. You still are. There's no other night. What are we going to do? There's nothing. There's no other night where there's not wrestling.
If this were the old school TNA days, I would say, but we have more viewers that Impact. But
still,
but it's not those days.
Still maybe close.
Yeah, it's those days. Yeah.
We do have the latest on the sale of WWE and the continued fallout from Vince McMahon forcing his way back into power. In a recent CNBC article on WWE, it was noted that the company was looking to meet with potential buyers in April. These potential buyers were described as being first-round bids by CNBC. However, it also stated WWE was giving no assurances that a sale is even going to happen, potentially landing WWE in a situation where it remains under its current ownership structure. So some cynics, Doug, are going to point to this and those of us familiar with Vince's just contrarian nature and see this and the high price tag and slow progress as Vince not really being serious about a sale.
Right.
Other skeptics, of course, think the high asking price is just to keep bidders away. But the idea that this is a first round bid when many outlets have been reporting for a while now that a sale was either imminent or that we were deep into negotiations, CNBC saying first round bids in April makes it sound like nothing is happening anytime soon.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't trust any of this. I trust none of this.
It actually flies in the face of what their own what their own chief financial officer was saying just a couple of months ago to investors, how quickly things were moving. So who knows which version of maybe CNBC misspoke in calling these or describing these as first round bids, but the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Of course, we'll stay on top of it here. We'll do a cheap plug. If you haven't seen our show, another special edition. We do lots of bonus editions now, but if you didn't see our special show on the Wrestling for Sale, where we talk about the history of pro wrestling transactions, it's a good primer for whatever's about to happen in WWE land.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So, Doug, that's CNBC article. Let me get back to that. So, our show that we're doing tonight was originally supposed to be on Sunday, obviously. That would have had us going up against the Oscars. So I have a wrestling story with some Oscar content for us.
Awesome.
Yeah, that CNBC article, it was just an aside where they mentioned the first round bids in April. That's not what the story was about. The story was focused on another bit of surprising WWE news, and that is that WWE is looking into getting legalized betting allowed on the outcomes of their matches. The article states that those familiar with the subject report that WWE is working with various state gambling commissions and naturally have been met with some skepticism. WWE is working with the accounting firm of Ernst & Young to secure scripted match results in hopes it will convince these regulators that there's no chance of these results being leaked to the public and affecting bids. Ernst & Young have historically worked with award shows, such as the Academy Awards, to keep results a secret. Betting on the Academy Awards is actually already legal and available in some states and through some sports betting applications like market leaders FanDuel's and DraftKings. Most states, though, still don't allow betting on the Oscars. WWE executives, though, are using the Oscars as an example and a template to try to convince regulators gambling on scripted matches is safe. But I think it's worth pointing out that while Academy Awards voting results are known by a select few numbers of people before they are announced publicly, that's still different than results being scripted by writers.
Okay, so we can add something else to things that break my brain besides Canadian destroyers now, because this story makes no sense. I hear every word you're saying. I understand the words individually, but when you put them together, something breaks in my brain. Why is this a thing?
Well,
what's happening here?
So from WWE's point of view, I guess it could even be related to their the value of the company and a impending sale, because sports that allow betting, it's shown that betting increases engagement and brings in eyes of people who normally wouldn't be interested in the sport because
and I'm sure
they love to bet.
And I guess in a day and age of DVR and recording and watching on demand, it kind of pushes people to watch live to make sure their peeps are winning. Got to get their money on that Roman Reigns.
It increases the value of the company. Honestly, if you had a little bit of a gambling addiction, you're watching WWE when you maybe didn't care at all before. But even if regulators allow gambling, the betting companies themselves would have to decide if they're willing to place odds on WWE matches, even if it's legalized. So allowing gambling on certain WWE matches would alter, of course, how matches are produced and how storylines are created. So in discussions about how gambling in wrestling could work, WWE executives are reportedly making the argument and proposing that scripted results of matches be locked in months ahead of time And according to people familiar with the matter, that even the folks in the match themselves would not be told if they were winning or losing until moments before going out and that match taking place.
Okay, so from a wrestling company standpoint, like I like all of that. Let's build out long-term storylines that go for months and have these guys just working and working and working and not even knowing who's coming out on top until it's go time. I love that. Not so much the betting on it, because again my brain breaks a little bit betting on it completely. I mean, do we bet on like movie results, like who's the
Yes.
murderer? Well, we
Yes.
do.
No.
That's a thing.
No. This very story where I got this in the CNBC says that the entertainment industry is watching this hard because there has been a lot of push within the industry to say, if we could bet on the Academy Awards, if the WWE gets away with this, then it is who's the murderer? How's this cliffhanger turn out? You could start betting if you could bet on scripted programming. Hollywood executives see this as a possibility for another revenue stream, as well as, again, you said it earlier, people watching live, right? All the cord cutting, all the DVR if you have to watch the night of in order to see whether or not you win your bet as to who the murderer in the finale of your favorite TV series is, this could be the scab that comes off that opens those doors for everybody.
I don't like it. I don't like any of this. But now, how do we monetize this? Will Doug be able to actually do a show tonight? What stupid thing will Doug do to prevent him from doing a show?
Place your we needed a harder bet than that.
Well, no. But look, it all pays off because I
That's
root one
true.
chair in here, and now Cuddles. Oh, and she almost fell.
Cuddles normally doesn't make an appearance, so if you made your bet tonight that Cuddles would make an appearance, congratulations, that bet's paying off. Talk to DraftKings, I guess. Yeah, Doug, I'm not sure. This is definitely something really big, though. I mean, if legalized betting on scripted matches is allowed, who knows where this could lead.
And I can think of at least 5 other
bad
things we
things.
should legalize. We should legalize before we legalize scripted betting.
Supposedly, the last thing I'll say on this is that right now, WWE is reportedly targeting Michigan, Colorado, and Indiana. Those are the state gambling commissions that they're apparently trying to get in front of. So it might be a while before we could, but we just a few states over, we could go place our bets on Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. All right, Doug.
Oh,
are you looking forward to having more wrestling to watch?
Man, I can't watch the wrestling that exists now.
Well, then you're not in luck, because according to the Matt Men's Andrew Zarian, we may be getting yet another weekly show from AEW. Not a reality show. Zarian said a third show is indeed coming, and that he expects an announcement could be made as early as next month. He also alluded to the possibility of it airing on Saturday nights at 6:05 p.m.
Oh.
Famously,
Classic.
The time WCW had Saturday night on TBS, and then years before that, World Championship Wrestling, and years before that, Georgia Championship Wrestling. So looks like we might get another in-ring show to go with, this busy wrestling schedule. Who knows when we can do a special bonus edition, Doug? We're not going to have any nights left. Nothing.
We will have 5-minute segments in between shows. Or like 3 in the morning. We'll start going live at 3 in the morning. That might work for us.
I don't know. I think that's when Impact actually airs now. I don't know. No, sorry, Impact fans. I like some good Impact fans. I apologize.
Come on, man.
We're going to end the news segments.
Yeah, let's end the news.
On two arrivals, Dragon Lee made his debut this past week, or actually last week now, on NXT's. Hey, Doug, I forgot. That's what they called it. Last week's NXT was NXT Roadblock. There you go. That's where Roadblock went.
There's it went to NXT. It went to Florida. Okay.
Yeah. and you missed it. So
Of course I
just
did.
one more,
Of course I did, Kevin.
one more thing you got to miss out on. Dragon Lee was there, Doug. He didn't miss it.
Of course he was.
It was the classic old school NXT introduction where the independent wrestler who was rumored or in demand sitting there in the audience gets up, does his wave, and put the name on the bottom of the screen and all that. He actually had a promo this week on NXT, but I kind of liked the old school. Hey, there he is sitting in the crowd. Everybody, he's coming. Interesting, obviously. This other than Cody Rhodes is the only real instance I can think of where someone with even part way of a name has gone the other way on that road between AEW and WWE. And then the last thing I'll mention, though, someone who took a road from Impact to AEW. If you watched Dynamite this week, Doug, you might be behind on it as well.
Of course I am, Kevin.
Well, then you missed the debut of Frankie Monet. I'm sorry, wait. Taya Valkyrie.
Okay.
Is now all elite. After a great Impact career, obviously, Valkyrie's time in NXT as Frankie Monet, which was a horrible rebranding, was very uneventful. So hopefully she has more of a future with AEW. Doug, knowing, though, this stage of her career, yeah, she came. She was the opponent for. She came in. Hasn't wrestled a match yet, but she inserted herself. I don't want to spoil anything for you. She inserted herself in a segment this week, and then it was announced it was not a one-off appearance. That she is, in fact, all elite.
All elite. So, are we going to get Johnny Elite again? Well, didn't we have Johnny Elite for like a brief period, like a one-off appearance himself?
Would that be something you'd like to see? Do you want more wrestlers in your AEW?
If I could just get them all in one place, then I could just watch one show.
Do you think that this is good for Taya Valkyrie? Obviously, she's incredibly talented, but is she just one more person to get lost in the mix?
Especially the AEW women's division. I mean, it's starting to pick up a little bit, but still, it's not what it could be. I mean, it's not what it could be.
Maybe that extra hour of programming will help.
But yes, maybe it will.
And that's all we have in this week for the opening bell. I know we're going to back with you here in a few more days, so make sure you tune in to Sunday's show. Got some other big news stories to talk about, including the end of the Bella Twins, as well as a scandal involving the $1 Million Man.
No.
Teaser, come back Sunday.
Nice. I like it. We should do teasers more often.
We should. Doug, now what we should do is a main event. What do you say?
Let's do it.
It is WrestleMania season, and WWE is so very fond of their phrase, road to WrestleMania. But some folks don't even appear to be on that road at all. Well, some folks, we probably could have guessed last year that they were going to be in the main event of WrestleMania. Looking at you, Tribal Chief. But that's what we're talking about tonight is the road to WrestleMania. Who's on a smooth road? Who's on a rough road? Doug, I'm going to just start with a softball just to set the stage for what this topic is. I'm going to throw two at once. Smooth road. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes.
I don't know if this is a softball because I think there are still bumps. I know Sammy. There are different plans for Sammy, and I think they're still very conscious that Sammy could derail things if they don't properly execute Sammy's story through this. But I'm not even ready to call who I think I know this will probably be another one of our shows, but I'm not even ready to call who comes out on the other side of that.
Yeah, we're not doing predictions. We're just talking about the
I know,
road.
but it could be a very bumpy road for them. I mean, they're rocketing to WrestleMania, but I think Sammy can make the road a little bumpy, completely accidentally. But I don't know.
It's one that where it was a question of who his opponent was going to be. But this time last year, this time 2 years ago, you could say our Tribal Chief was going to be in the main event of this WrestleMania.
Right? Yeah.
That one's not in doubt. Cody, a little bit bumpier, and just in the fact that his injury derailed his push. Obviously, he was the hottest thing coming into last year's WrestleMania with the not so surprise. And he seemed primed for like maybe one of the biggest years of his career. And a lot of that year was taken from him. But he came back and hit the ground pretty much running. But
Absolutely.
so I'm going to put those two on the smooth road. Doug, I can give a bumpy road, or I can let you go with one.
Yeah, you drive this.
Okay. It plays off of the smooth road of Reigns. The bumpy
Uh-huh.
road, Reigns versus The Rock. We're running out of time. This whole thing has been something that we knew would happen eventually, and it hasn't. Hollywood would have been the ideal year to have this happen. It's honestly about time for Roman to experience some loss and the end of the bloodline, and it may be coming, but the idea of family member versus family member, Rock's not getting any younger. Reigns isn't getting any younger. I don't know that they would find a more ideal time and place than this year's Mania would be. So I'm thinking that the sun's starting to set on that idea.
I agree with that, absolutely. 100%. There was a time when I fully expected the WrestleMania event in Hollywood to be Rock v. Reigns.
Sure.
And we're not getting that. We're getting Rock Cody, which I think we knew we were, or not Rock Cody. That would be great for Cody too. We're getting Reigns Cody. Maybe Rock's gonna show up and take them both on. There we go. It's not as bumpy as we thought. It's there. But really, the Rock situation, yeah, definitely it needs to happen and needed to happen in Hollywood.
Do you think it will ever happen? Or do you think
maybe
that
the time is
it's
actually
done?
I think maybe the time has passed.
Because the two men, and I know that they're, obviously they're family, but they've been teasing it themselves for a long time now, and here it is, probably not going to happen in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we're done with it.
Smooth road, and who would have ever guessed it? Considering how he has not even been featured on WWE very much in the last several months, considering that he's, and I hate to talk smack about somebody, but pretty much one of the worst workers on the main roster. Who would have guessed Omos would have waltzed himself into a Brock Lesnar match at the biggest stage of the year? That has to be considered a congratulations, go buy yourself a lottery ticket, Omos.
So, there's lots of brain busting going on tonight.
I'm blowing your brain up, man.
Let me say I'm not 100% anyway. And you're just doing Canadian destroyers left and right tonight. So here's my take on this, all right? Because, yeah, I mean, this is a definitely smooth road for Omos. But I have read and seen folks talk about how Austin was super close. They even cut the thing with Lashley short with a DQ so he could move directly into something with Austin. Austin, for whatever reason, decided no, I'm not in. And then there was also, Bray Wyatt, which he said, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not. Lesnar saying this, but he says yes to Omos. Or Omos. He always gets his name wrong too, which is kind of hilarious. One of those old school Jericho things to do. But I don't get it. I did read early on, Lesnar said, if Vince is back, I want Vince doing all the creative on my matches. I want Vince producing my matches. So this just stinks of the pencil thin Vince McMahon with his jet black hair sliding up to Omos and whispering in Lesnar's ear, hey pal, let's make $1 million with this big guy over here.
Ooh, wow. Enrique sounds a lot like Vince.
Right. I mean,
You mentioned some names I want to talk about. So Lesnar, his road. I'm thinking Lesnar's road is probably somewhere in the middle, but I'm putting him on the bumpy road because Lesnar versus Austin, that's money. I mean, that's a dream match we never saw. That's a WrestleMania-worthy match. Stone Cold obviously has despite participating with Kevin Owens last year, Brock Lesnar is a different, no pun intended, beast altogether.
Indeed, yeah.
When 50% of your moveset is German suplexes and your bionic redneck has had to retire early because of neck issues, probably not a good fit.
Yeah. Though, I'm going to have to
disagree because I think any road to WrestleMania is smooth for Lesnar because Lesnar's not going to do anything he doesn't want to do. Lesnar will
Well,
probably Lesnar will probably go on early if this isn't if it's not the first match. I'll be shocked just so Lesnar can go in, do his work, go shower, and leave. You know.
let's talk about the other person in that equation, Bray Wyatt. So Stone Cold says no to Lesnar, but Lesnar then turns around and says no to Bray Wyatt. You are right. Lesnar is a consummate businessman, right? I mean, Lesnar doesn't do anything that isn't good for Lesnar. He's noticed most people don't walk away from a Bray Wyatt feud looking very good. And Lesnar's pretty protective of his character, has come off of the last couple of years of basically just jobbing left and right to Roman Reigns in his special appearances. Lesnar could use a win, and Bray Wyatt and the hocus pocus and everything that goes along with a Bray Wyatt contest.
Yes.
It's not really anything that plays well for the realistic character, a UFC fighter like Brock Lesnar. That really wasn't a great pairing either, I don't think.
No, there are some odd pairings. I mean, but and definitely if there's what is it, the cinnamon toast crunch cereal bowl match, or whatever.
And I'm putting Bray Wyatt on my list of having a bumpy road because he got told no by Lesnar, had to pivot to Lashley, and then Doug, he's disappeared from our TV screens. There's reportedly an undisclosed injury. They think he might be ready. Who knows? I mean, Bray Wyatt has definitely had a bumpy road to WrestleMania.
And there's also those reports that he's just walked out, but yeah, I think a lot of those have been debunked over like you mentioned, what was it, an injury at a house show or something like that?
Yeah, he's been no-showing the house shows that he's been advertised for. The other day, Lashley basically made a statement that it doesn't matter who he faces, he's going to be in a big match at WrestleMania, sort of opening the door to the possibility that he is maybe not going to be facing Bray Wyatt. How about Bobby himself? What road do you think he's had?
I think Bobby's had a bit of a bumpy road, honestly, because before the whole Stone Cold thing with Lashley, you could see Bobby and Brock, having their final rubber match at the stage of the Immortals there, the grandest stage of all. Yeah. But then there was a pivot there. Okay, we'll send you this way. I'm going to go this way. And then Lesnar gets him off. And at this point, Bobby may or may not have Bray Wyatt,
So he's sort of in flux. I mean, in some ways, he was going to benefit from Stone Cold saying no to Lesnar. But everything I read is that we were going right towards that Lesnar-Lashley match at Mania, which makes sense. Two big hosses, looks good on the poster. They ended up going for that match early just because they were that convinced that they were going to be able to talk Stone Cold into the Lesnar match. And once they weren't able to, now you have only 5-6 weeks from that event to figure out the next opponent for both of these guys. And it wasn't a satisfactory conclusion to Lesnar Lashley either. It was kind of a cheat way out to try to keep both guys strong going into Mania. So there really was no good closure on that.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that Stone Cold's road was pretty smooth since he's not going to wrestle at Mania and doesn't have to take a bump on his neck.
That's what I was going to say. Stone Cold, another Lesnar type personality there that doesn't have to do what he doesn't want to do. So his road to WrestleMania is always going to be smooth now. And honestly, if we're talking about just like The Rock, even though he's not involved, his road to WrestleMania guaranteed to be smooth now.
Hey, we know Austin watches the show, so I will say, Steve, happy 316 day.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
Going from one Austin to the other, Doug, Austin Theory, he is on the golden road to WrestleMania.
Yes, he is. Agreed.
That dude last year was Vince McMahon's pick, wrestled in a celebrity match, did everything that you were supposed to do leading up to Mania to get attention on himself. And all he's done this year is show that Enrique McMahon may be wrong about a lot of things, but he was 100% right on Austin Theory, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think he's been this right about anybody since he was right about McIntyre way back in the day, calling him the chosen one. Just took McIntyre a while to get there. At least Theory's, on the right path, and will hopefully get there in the next couple of years and not have to leave and come back 10 years later or whatever it was with McIntyre.
And for an Austin Theory, I mean, you go from wrestling a celebrity match to now having as much airtime as you had, and it doesn't matter, win or lose. I mean, he's getting a returning legend like John Cena in a one-on-one match. That's got to be, again, another gold check mark for Mr. Theory.
Gold check mark, and just jumping to his opponent there, another man who is guaranteed to have a smooth road to WrestleMania. He's got the lifetime, he's got the golden ticket, just like Rock and Stone Cold, his peers from the Attitude Era. And Lesnar, another peer from the Attitude Era. Cena, golden ticket, straight to WrestleMania. Just riding shotgun with Theory all the way to the Showcase of the Immortals.
All the way. Maybe a little bit of a controversial one here, Doug, because this is a man who's not on the WrestleMania card, but I am saying a smooth road, Johnny Gargano. Johnny was likely one of those mid-card guys, lost in the shuffle, wasn't going to make the WrestleMania card, but good for Mr. NXT. He finds himself in a high-profile match on Stand and Deliver on WrestleMania weekend, on WrestleMania Saturday. It may not be Mania itself, but it is Mania weekend, and rather than get lost in a battle royal and the pre-show on WrestleMania, he's going to be in a feature match defending his home of NXT against Grayson Waller on a smaller stage where he'll be a bigger fish. I actually think that is a great spot to find yourself rather than getting lost in the bigger shuffle of the big night time events.
I wasn't aware of that, but I like it. I really do like it. Mr. Johnny NXT.
Johnny NXT and HBK's pick to come back and take on Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller's been all up in HBK's face, trying to get HBK to come out of retirement. No, but I'm not going to do it. But this man, he's coming home to take care of business for me. In comes Johnny. That whole white face, white baby face like reaction,
baby face, yes,
yeah. And it was classic Johnny. So yeah, I definitely like the position that they put him in. Doug, maybe another one that goes without saying. This one, Smooth Road, because it's dominated the last several years of main events and storylines. We've talked about Roman. Let's talk about the bloodline itself. This is likely the end of the bloodline storyline for a while, maybe a blowing up of the faction of the bloodline, but it's culminating at WrestleMania. Obviously, the perfect time to have big stories culminate. The bloodline has definitely been on a smooth road.
Absolutely, man. Jimmy J, Solo.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Solo's role will be other than probably outside enforcer. He'll be playing the Bob Orton at WrestleMania 1 role, getting involved somehow from the outside. But their opponents, though, Kevin Owens, I'm going to say smooth road just because he wasn't necessarily involved in any major storylines and then got pulled into the vortex of relevancy that was the bloodline. Hey man, it's the hottest angle in wrestling, and Kevin Owens just like, oh hey, yeah, can I get me some of that? And just waltzes right in. I know there's a history there. Yeah. There's a history there, but I mean, he hasn't been front and center in this storyline until recently. So I'm thinking that makes this a pretty nice lift for Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Sammy though,
Sammy, man, Sammy is having a smooth ride. Nobody's messing with his vibe. I think he may throw some unintentional vibe interruptions towards Reigns and Cody, but Sammy's smooth ride, man. This smooth ride rocket ship.
See, I got that one somewhere in the middle because Sammy's got that transition from being the hottest baby face in the business that fans wanted to see take out Roman Reigns to the secondary B plot of the bloodline storyline. Still, you go back a couple of most of the WrestleManias since Sammy's been in the company, he's not even been on. So it's definitely a step up from Johnny Knoxville last year, but
Right, exactly.
maybe short of where fans had hoped he would ascend to WrestleMania season. Calls. I mean, let's be honest. Let's think back to Kofi Mania and how cool that was and things like you don't want to make the parallel that it's exactly the same, but it was so close. Do you ever think that Sammy will be positioned this highly on the card again? Was this his shot at like true main event world title picture?
Yes, especially with Enrico McMahon sneaking back into creative, even if he's just sitting in Gorilla and not doing anything. So
you think that that I know, Doug, you famously made a prediction that Sammy would be your champion by the end of this. Do you think that shot was fired?
yeah, I mean it's over. It's done. I mourn with all of Montreal and the rest of Canada. Sammy's not going to unseat the tribal chief, but he will take those unified expialidocious belts from his cousins.
Spoiler. All right.
Yeah, spoilers.
Smooth. I'm going to go back to the bumpy road. I've done a few smooth. We talked about it earlier, but I'm putting the WWE Hall of Fame on the bumpy road for the very reasons I mentioned earlier.
Fair. Yeah, that's totally fair, I think, at this point.
We're 3 weeks out. We got two inductees and very little airtime dedicated to it, as if the WWE suddenly is not as interested in their Hall of Fame anymore. So that's definitely a bumpy road for me.
Yeah.
Doug, I think you might agree with this next one too, though, as far as things that WWE doesn't care about. This is proving Sasha and Trinity right, but the women's tag titles, by using the women's tag champions and then switching them to a legend-filled 6-man match instead of actually having the titles on the line themselves, just shows that they're more interested in the spectacle and the names they get involved in, that the titles to WWE, the women's tag titles at least, apparently don't really matter to them.
Agreed. It's a secondary. It's a prop in a story. Really, in wrestling, that's what the belts are. It's just literally a prop. But I mean, it's a prop gets more respect than I think those titles get.
Yeah. I mean, I love all the women involved in this. I just kind of, and it'll be entertaining when it gets here, but the idea that it's WrestleMania and you're a champion, those titles should be on the line to me.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, this punctuates, when Naomi and Sasha walked out,
Yeah, it does. And validates the reasoning that, it's nice that you want to put us in world title matches or you want, but we're the tag champs. We want to be the tag champs. And there was not that interest. There's always been that, if you take the sexism out of it, which is hard to do with WWE's history, but if you just look at the Vince's attitude towards tag team wrestling in general, and then you add the women's tag titles being the tag titles on top of that, maybe not as surprising. Let's talk some women, though, that maybe are having a smoother road. Asuka. I'm saying Asuka with her. Who would have thought if you would put a bet 6 months ago that Asuka would be headlining one of the women's matches? I would not have taken that bet.
No, but it's how long has Vince been gone? Maybe I would have taken that bet. Was Vince gone by that time?
That's a great point because Triple H has rehabbed the character of Asuka to be very much more in line with the Asuka that everyone first fell in love with.
Empress of Tomorrow.
Yeah. So just the fact that she's in the main event is amazing to me, based on the history of her on the main roster. I'm going to go another one on the smooth road, and another female performer, Rhea Ripley. That lady has been, not just because she won the Royal Rumble, did we know for the longest time that she's going to be main eventing the women's side of the card, but she's been just locked in with Judgment Day. way more interesting a character than she was the last time she faced Charlotte at Mania.
Yes.
She was still in NXT at the time, defending the NXT title in front of no real crowd. So for her to be on a Mania card, kind of get a do-over of that match with her now as a really hot character instead of to the casual fan probably going, who is this lady?
Yep.
And why is she on my Mania? That's really cool to see Rhea get this second shot at doing this match on a much bigger way.
Absolutely. I love that she gets the big shot in front of a crowd and she's hot. She is like red hot right now with the Judgment Day. Probably probably the best part of Judgment Day at this point. Her and Dom, because I mean, come on, Dom is one of the best heels right under MJF in professional wrestling right now.
Dude, let's go there. He's next on my list for smooth roads. Mommy got Dom in a good position as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, you talk about, again, Judgment Day, great faction, locked in, but definitely the leaders of that faction are Rhea Ripley. I know it's supposed to be Finn, but it's Rhea that's the leader, and Dom as her sub. I mean,
yes,
Dom's found his niche, man, and it's made him. I think that the Dom Ray story is probably the most interesting non-title related storyline that we have going into Mania.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Great story, and Dom smooth ride.
Smooth
air
ride,
cushions just rolling along.
Some negatives though. Bumpy ride. It is a bumpy road to WrestleMania in general if you're a non-celebrity, non-legend, and non-main eventer this year. It's known that Triple H has supposedly said he wanted fewer matches on the card, so you won't be getting these big battle royals, multi-person matches. He wanted a trimmer card, and it's apparently caused a bit of angst amongst some backstage and some resentment towards others when you see John Cena, Alita, Trish Stratus, Logan Paul, all the celebrities and legends that are taking up those precious few WrestleMania match slots.
This is going to break my brain too, but I have to defend Logan Paul here.
Oh, I know he'll do a good performance.
Not just that he will do a good performance, and yes, I get that there's people like, why does this person, this legend, this celebrity, if you can get out there and work and get yourself over, because let's just think about Zack Ryder back in the day, got himself over on the internet with Long Island IC, the internet championship, all that, gets himself over huge like that, and can wrestle like Logan Paul. I mean, where are those people stepping up and doing that? I know Triple H is an old school guy, and the mentality's there. Like, if you do it, I will give you an opportunity. But you got to prove it. Logan Paul has this internet following, and my goodness, he can wrestle more than he has any reason to be able to wrestle. I mean, it is ridiculous to see that kid in the ring. Clearly a pure athlete.
So you're putting him on a smooth road to WrestleMania?
I'm putting him on a smooth road to WrestleMania.
Because he hasn't had to have many. I mean, he hasn't had to have very many matches, and he's going to be in a profile match, right?
Absolutely. And it just turns into an old man yells at clouds rant. I'm going on here, but step up, get out there, expand your social media.
Well, I'm going to talk about somebody who has a pretty expansive social media, but no path to WrestleMania. It's definitely been a rough road for a man who this time last year I could have very well seen very near the top of the card, and instead he won't be on it. Let's talk about the original bro, Matt Riddle.
Bro.
There wasn't a hotter character than Matt Riddle. The work he was doing with Orton, he was primed right there. He and Orton were either going to like break apart and have a match, or he was well positioned, and then his drug test failure, and apparently he's back from suspension and could be ready at any time. It's just they don't have any place to put him in a storyline. this
Creative
close to
doesn't
Mania.
have anything for you.
And who would have thought that even Vince McMahon, who didn't get the Matt Riddle character reportedly, had become a big fan of Matt Riddle and the work he was doing. And Matt sort of was his own worst enemy this year. And the original Bro is nowhere near the card. Maybe he'll show up on the Raw the night after and get a fresh start, but not this year.
Yeah, Riddle has been off my radar for so long that he was literally off my radar.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was a upper card upper carder on his way to the main event right before all this. Main event. This is a person who's a main eventer, has been her whole career wherever she's been, and this year will probably be the Mania card she ends up on, where no one will at all pay attention to whatever it is she does. Ronda Rousey is definitely not on a smooth road to Mania. I say her road's been bumpy. What is Ronda Rousey's storyline going into Mania, Doug?
I don't know. Is she doing something with Shayna Baszler beating up people, beating up blonde girls or something? I don't know.
I mean, she and Shayna could have been great opponents for some women's tag team champions or something along those lines. Instead, who knows? You got Ronda Rousey here, who actually main evented, not just the women's matches. She legit main evented a night of WrestleMania, one of the biggest stars in all of the combat sports, and they can't find anything for her either. Anything interesting that any of us would remember if you ask, what's she doing? Who knows?
But yeah, I wondered too. She is probably at a Lesnar level. She can come in and call her shots too. Probably just like Stone Cold. Yeah. Just like Cena,
Fair.
just like Rock. So is she just done with the game for a while? Is she done? Is that why she doesn't have anything going on? Anything of
Because
note? Anything? She's
doesn't
like,
really want to be there. Doesn't want to be there
Yeah.
every single week.
Right.
Here are two men that are there every single week, Doug, but Austin Theory wasn't wrong when he said on Raw to the Street Profits, what are you all doing at Mania? The tag titles are obviously tied up with the challengers being in a regular tag team going against a newish, well, we know that they will end up Kevin Owens and Sammy, but where a permanent tag team like the Street Profits really don't have a obvious opponent right now, do they? That you see?
They don't. Do you think it's time to break up the Street Profits? Do you think maybe that's a post-Mania plan?
Considering that there isn't an emphasis really on tag team wrestling in WWE and just the ridiculous talent that is in the Street Profits, that I really don't think there's a Marty Jannetty. I know that's a horrible. We make that. All wrestling fans make that when tag teams split up. Who's the Marty? Who's the Shawn? I don't think that they're both Shawns, but I don't think either of them is going to be the Marty that fades away either. I think that there's a role for both of these men. One has a ceiling so high that it does have to happen at some time.
Yeah.
Maybe it is the time, because they definitely don't have a storyline going into Mania. Maybe that's a post-Mania storyline. Maybe the frustration of not having. Maybe Austin Theory got in their head on Monday night, and we'll start to see some fractures there as to what are we doing. Maybe instead of
that
the
would be
fun-loving
some
Street Profits.
that would be some great storytelling that could go past Mania into SummerSlam, where Theory, puts that in their heads and the cracks start to form, and that's a great storyline right there to actually break them up in a very dramatic fashion.
And a realistic one too. Hey, he's right. What are we doing? Why are we sitting around joking? One of them mad at the other because we need to get serious. We're fun loving, and where does it get us? Not on Mania. Yeah, I like that. Speaking of guys who will not be on Mania and who've had a bumpy road because of Mania, I'm saying Delgado El Fantasma. They're faces now, Doug.
I know that was weird. Hey, Ray, let's trade masks and everything's cool, and we're baby faces now.
To help further along that storyline, they just suddenly one week decide to be faces, which was awkward. Zelina Vega, that lady is a heel master through and through. it doesn't really fit having them on the face side of things to me. Do you see that?
You okay with everybody? Yeah. You're a little loud. I'm sorry. Get the wrestling.
That's all right. So
got my co-host over there.
Over in the production truck.
Yeah, so, over in production. I was getting some production notes.
Outside of Delgado, Doug, I got one more smooth road, one more bumpy road. Smooth road first. Edge versus Finn. And I'm putting Edge versus Finn on the smooth road only because of Hell in a Cell. That's it. Like, not that I wouldn't have liked that match to begin with, not that it wouldn't have been fine, but WWE doesn't use the gimmick on an annual basis any longer, which makes it more special when they have it. And just by the fact that these two men get to have a Hell in a Cell match at the biggest pay-per-view of the calendar year, that gives them a chance, because of the talent involved between the two of them and the gimmick that they can work now, a chance to steal the night in a way that they wouldn't have got the same attention had they not made this a Hell in a Cell match.
That's fair, but to play devil's advocate, I can't really call it a bumpy road because I think it is smooth sailing. Yeah, and like you say, they do get the privilege of having a Hell in a Cell match. But man, haven't we seen this like 15 times already? It seems like, Edge going up against somebody in the House of Purple, Edge Finn, but it's in Hell in a Cell, so.
That's the thing, right? It's when you can't finish something and it just goes on and there's always the outside interference, there's only one way to get it settled, and that is to lock two men in the cage.
Yeah.
So this has to be the end of it, though, or otherwise fans won't buy another round.
Mm-hmm.
Lastly, Doug, and I hate to end on a down note, but the bumpy road to WrestleMania is the road of Triple H, the game himself.
Oh.
Triple H was looking at a pretty smooth road with him crushing it in creative, ready to book his first WrestleMania. But then comes the Snidely Whiplash character back into WWE, not just returning as chairman, but now apparently returning backstage at Raw. Doug, if the father-in-law is backstage at Raw, do you think there's any way in this world Vince McMahon is not going to be backstage for all 12 hours of WrestleMania or whatever it'll be?
Dude, Vince was sitting at Gorilla, allegedly not getting in the way, but just hanging out. Didn't even put on a headset. No.
His presence is the bump in the road.
Vince's claws are in this, I think, just because of Omos Lesnar. Got to be there for that one, pal.
Yeah, it's got to make it, even if you're not on the headset, just his overwhelming presence is going to be a distraction to everyone with him sitting there at Gorilla or wherever he is hanging out all WrestleMania weekend. I guess Vince's. I guess we can live. I guess we could go on a up note because Vince's road is definitely smooth. It didn't even look like he was going to be at Mania, and here he is.
I know, he comes back well rested after months away from the company.
Yeah, he's regained his youthful appearance, apparently. I mean, the time off has done him good.
He's living his best life ever right now.
Folks, that is the road to WrestleMania. Let us know what you think. Agree, disagree, any that we missed out naming who've had a particularly good time in these last few months, and those of your favorites who don't even have a spot on the card. Let us know who we missed and what you think of our choices. Right now, Doug, we're going to hit a big finish, though. Wrap this up.
Let's do it.
Let's talk botch of the week, Doug.
Let's talk botch. Okay, so I have notes from earlier in the week, which I planned to do for a show on Sunday until, I was attacked by a couch, a treadmill, and this chair behind me.
That's right. Let's stipulate our big finish is primarily focused on last week. We're talking about not this current week, but last week of wrestling. Go, botch.
Botch, and this one wasn't actually on TV, but I caught this on YouTube, and I just had to inject a little bit of humor in because usually I go with the theme, but this was a YouTube botch of. Have you seen this making the rounds? Not Lesnar. Braun Strowman is at a house show and tries to do this awesome Shawn Michaels kip up and fails miserably.
And
Oh,
I think he thinks it's the funniest thing ever. He himself seems, just downright amused that he has done this and failed it. But he just, you know that thing where you fall, you jump up and you look around and see if anybody
see
saw
who
you.
says, yeah.
It's kind of like that. And then he goes into like beast mode and like rips the shirt or whatever. But it's just a fun little watch.
Well, I wish mine was as fun. I went more like aggravated old man yelling at
Okay.
clouds, as you said earlier. So, Wardlow is your new TNT champion, right? Oh, wait a minute. No, Will
Wait,
Hobbs
no.
is your new TNT champion. In 2023, the TNT championship has changed hands 3 times now. We're in March. Darby Allin to Samoa Joe to Wardlow. 3 days later, Wardlow to Powerhouse Hobbs. The 24/7 championship in WWE did not change this much. No wonder QT decided to break into the car. I'm figuring like whoever stole the belt is like the champion, right? I mean,
It is like the 24/7 championship now.
we previewed Revolution by saying that this title was going to change, but it needed to be the last time for a while. We were right on the change. We were wrong on them settling on the champion of Wardlow. Why would you even bother if you were going to just flip it 3 days later?
I have no idea.
Just that title has gotten ridiculous, and I expected better from Tony Khan to be playing that kind of hot potato. WWE's the stable ones now. They keep their belts on. I mean, you got tag champs that have had their belts for a couple of years, world champ for longer than that. Gunther's on a really nice reign. Mandy Rose had like a year with the women's title in NXT. I mean, they're actually not doing title changes very often anymore, but not over in AEW.
Yeah, hot potato in the land of Khan.
Performer of the week, Doug.
So I'm going to go back a little bit because I would have covered this on Sunday, but let's take a trip in the Wayback Machine here and look at Danielson and everything he did in a match to put over MJF. And for performer, I've got to give it to Danielson for everything he did and his little snippets on. I almost called it Dynamite or Impact, but on Dynamite, where right after the wrestling match, he's like, that he just totally sells that. MJF's right. I'm going home. I need to go home. All that was just chef's kiss, perfect for that. Danielson, I'm calling out for performer.
It was perfect. I had a couple on my list that I was struggled with. There was so many good performances last week, especially coming out of the Revolution pay-per-view. But looking at last week, I'm going to say my performer, I'm going with Jey Uso. Jey has been a secondary character in the whole bloodline story, but he was front and center last week because he was the wild card as to which way is he going to go, what's he going to choose, how we all knew where it was going, but still to watch him play it out, it was note perfect. From the fake out of Sammy to that super kick that just took Sammy completely off guard. And of course, kudos to Sammy, who's been our performer of the week many, many times over the last couple of months.
Yeah.
But then to follow that Raw appearance up by going on SmackDown and giving a great promo that was as honest and simple, because you can overcomplicate things if you're not careful in wrestling. And it was more of I didn't want to, but what would you do? He's my brother. He's my twin.
I know.
I didn't want to do it. But what would you do? What would you do? I mean, that's the only real explanation you need to give. You don't need to get complicated with it. Of course, he chose his brother, his twin brother, over someone that he otherwise didn't want to have to do what he had to do. Perfect.
Yeah. No argument for me. It was great.
And we'll go for perfect with match of the week, Doug. I think we're going to go match of the week perfect here.
So I started, with after we get out of the match, talking about performer Danielson putting over MJF. Let's talk about MJF and Danielson together in that match of the week, at Revolution. I mean, can you really? I mean, I feel like I need to go grab a microphone. Hold on. Let me just drop the mic here. because I mean that's I think all that really needs to be said about it. Danielson MJF Revolution.
When I knew we were focusing on last week and with the match of the week, I knew this is where we were going to agree. I'm going to repeat what I said in my quick video review of Revolution, which another plug still available here on the channel if you didn't, if you missed it. But I said at the time that I love Iron Man matches for the same reason that I love double albums, long movies, in-depth articles. It values art and story over catering to the superficial, short attention span theater that we're in now. And Iron Man is one for the diehards. An Iron Man wrestling match is that 3-hour movie to cinephiles. It's that concept double album for rock fans. It's for the serious fan. A true Iron Man is 60 minutes, not 30, not 25. They made it a full 60 minutes, which means they had to rely on a story that keeps people engaged for 60 minutes because you have to have pacing. You have to have refs enforcing rules. You have to have actual selling. You have to have strategy where you're trying to beat a clock. This Iron Man went 60 minutes, and it was believable because the first fall didn't happen until 25 minutes in, which is about when a fall would happen. And if it was a normal one fall match, that makes it believable. When you shorten those Iron Men to 25, 30 minutes, you end up tied 4-4 or something that's not realistic. It had drama. The heel work by MJF. I mean, he's throwing, drinks at small children at ringside, There's Danielson's normal technical mastery, which you alluded to with your performer of the week. We all could have predicted that he would have that, but he had it in spades. There were well-placed high spots. We also, though, got some blood and brutality. We had an announce team that was selling it like the big deal it was. I love the clock. Near the end, as it got to the last couple of minutes, the clock went from white to red, just flashing to show that, time is running out. It created urgency. I love Tony Schiavone at the end when it was tied. He was talking on his headset, like people in the back were like giving him real time, like, oh, this, like it felt like an interruption of your news broadcast. Like everything they did. MJF was being administered oxygen. Then, of course, MJF uses the oxygen to like cheat to win and sudden death overtime. At that point, I was fine with it because the only way a heel should win after an hour-long match like that is through cheating. And so it made perfect sense. I have zero problem with the ending because it was a culmination on everything that came before. This will go down to me with, Brett, Sean, Kurt, Lesnar, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, like the great Iron Men matches of modern times. This has got to be on the list. It was perfect.
Yeah, it was. We're falling in lockstep on this one for sure. I mean,
absolutely perfect. Fans, if you did not see Revolution, you must go and check out. The card top to bottom was great, but the main event was absolute wrestling perfection. And as if MJF wasn't already the hottest thing going in the business, it was oh yeah, and I can do this too. When I want.
Where
are
those doubters now? Yeah.
Where are those doubters now? Not here on the Two Bros Wrestling Show. If you're a doubter, drop it in the comments and we'll argue with you online. And with that, Doug, it is time to close this special Thursday night edition of the Two Bros Wrestling Show. We will be back with you guys in short order. We'll be back at our regular time on Sunday night, live at 8 o'clock. We are on the bumpy road to WrestleMania, depending on how Doug's back's holding up. We're going to get him medically cleared.
We may actually be on the road while we're talking to you.
We're going to talk about the WrestleMania weekend shows that aren't WrestleMania. Would you believe that there are more than 50 wrestling events in Los Angeles from Wednesday until Sunday night that do not have a WWE banner hanging over them?
I would believe there have been 50 wrestling events on in the last hour somewhere that I need to catch up on. So.
Well, all you need to do is watch the Two Bros Wrestling Show on Sunday. We're going to go over the biggest events happening WrestleMania weekend that aren't WrestleMania, including previewing Ring of Honor and NXT's pay-per-views that weekend. Until then, folks, we'll see you on Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern.
Good night, everybody.